Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. Depending on whether you saw a recent wrap-up of mine, you may or may not know this about me, but I am a longtime fan of the Dragon Age video game franchise. Now, the last Dragon Age game came out 10 years ago. My oldest child is 10 years old, so I got into this before really being a parent and, played some when my oldest was little, but I haven't played a lot of video games. I will sporadically occasionally play some things. My husband is more of a gamer, but I've been waiting. I've said that if they ever finally come out with another Dragon Age video game, I want to be able to kind of drop everything and play it. And it is finally coming out at the end of October, and it looks so good. It looks so freaking good. But here's the thing, I have a lot of books that I need to read for review between now and then. So my goal is to get most things off of my plate before this video game drops at the end of October. I've been working on this throughout the last few weeks, but I still have quite a ways to go before I am in a good position for it. And so I thought it might be interesting to do some reading challenge vlogs to help push myself to read even more and get some of these books I have for review off of my plate so I can play this game. Also, I did mention this in that wrap up, but if y'all are interested, maybe I will try to figure out a way to film some playthroughs with the caveat that I do not play because I enjoy fighting. I will do it when I need to. If it's too hard, I will make my husband defeat things for me. I am here for the characters, the storytelling, the world building, and like the exploration and collecting. I like to wander around and find things and talk to people and read stuff. So if I do playthroughs, that is the flavor of what they will look like. Okay, but what we're really here for right now is trying to get all of these books that I need to read for review finished and off of my plate by the end of October. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, and right now I have 25 outstanding books that I need to review by the end of October in order to be up to date enough to be comfortable dropping things and playing this. This is not taking into account book club books. I feel like I can get to those pretty easily. I read so much anyway, that's fine. I can like slot those in here and there. But 25 books need to be off of my plate in the next month and a half, which I think is doable, potentially. I am currently reading 3 of those books, so I'll tell you what 3 I'm currently in the middle of and then let you know what books I might try to get to in this video. I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna see how many books I can get to by the end of the upcoming weekend. So it is Tuesday. That gives me, I mean, it's like afternoon on Tuesday. So realistically, that's giving me 5 days. So in 5 days, how many of these 25 books can I get off the list? So here are the books that I am currently reading. Hot Earl Summer by Erica Ridley, which I am enjoying. This is a rompy historical romance with a disabled heroine. So far it's a lot of fun. I am 26% of the way into this book, and my Kindle app is telling me I have about 3.5 hours left of reading time on this, so we're doing good there. I am also reading The Seemingly Impossible Love Life of Amanda Dean by Anne Rose, which I think comes out today, so I'm a little behind schedule reading this. Uh-oh, we gotta change battery. Hold on. So I am slightly behind schedule. I'm so sorry to Anne. The author very kindly sent me her book for review, and so far I am enjoying it. This is where I'm at right now. So I am 80 something pages into the book, doing pretty good. It's about a 350 page contemporary romance. We have a bisexual heroine. The way it's organized is a little interesting because we get clips of the current day, which is her wedding day, and she's freaking out trying to figure out if she's marrying the right person, and then all of these different flashbacks to different years of her life with her messy romance love life. I think I know what's gonna happen at the end. We'll see if I'm right, but we're gonna read that. And then lastly, I'm only like 2 chapters into this so far, and I have it on audiobook, but I'm am reading The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. This is a debut queer fantasy that's supposed to be a romance, and it has a magical zoo. And our main character, so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm liking her. She takes care of magical creatures, including phoenixes, but she is really shy and single. So I think she's gonna fall in love. So far I'm enjoying that. Those are the 3 books that I am currently in the middle of, and we've got an ebook, an audiobook, and a physical book, which is great. I like to have things in different formats. So I'm gonna work on reading those. Other books that I want to try to tackle in this video, and this is not a comprehensive list by any means, but January's Stories of Love, Magic, and Betrayal by Olivia Blake. I just got an audio review copy of this on NetGalley, which would make it really easy to get to. Deja Brew by Celestine Martin, which is a cozy contemporary fantasy romance. I love the other books in the series. I think this 3rd one is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I also just got an audio review copy on NetGalley. Come Out by Natalie C. Parker. This is a queer YA horror novel with like a haunted house story, which looks really fun. The Lies We Conjure by Sarah Henning, which is supposed to be Knives Out meets The Inheritance games with magic in a standalone supernatural thriller. And The City in Glass by Nevo, one of my all-time favorite authors. I may also get to interview her, which is really exciting because I love her books. This one has a demon and an angel and a city, and it's a fantasy, and I will read anything she writes because I love her stuff. So I may get to some other things as well, but I feel like that's pretty solid. That's like 3 books I'm currently reading. Obviously one of them is digital. 5 books I want to read. Like if we could do 8 books in this 5 days, that is probably excessive. Will I finish 8 books? I don't know, but this is what we're gonna aim for. We're gonna see if we can get through 8 books or close to it in the next 5 days. Wish me luck. I don't know how this is gonna go, but I will check back in once I have read my first book. Tonight I'm actually going to an event though, so I will not have a lot of reading time, which is why I'm not really counting today. I may make some progress on one of these, but I don't expect to finish anything. I'm going to an early screening of Never Let Go, the new movie with Halle Berry, and I'll be making a shorter video for that, so I'm excited for that. I think it'll be really fun. This is like part of my outfits. I gotta put the rest of that together, but yeah, wish me luck. I will be back once I finish my first book. Editing Bethany, realizing I never followed up on the movie. I know this is not what this is about, but it was really good and really creepy. It's about motherhood and the lengths that mothers will go to, and also dealing with mental health, and it had some twists I was not expecting. And Halle Berry came out to talk to us before the movie started, which I was not expecting either, and it was really cool. So go check out my short to see that, but I liked it. Thank you to YouTube Shorts for inviting me. Hello again. It is 9 o'clock on Thursday night, and I have so far finished 2 books, but I've also made some good progress on the others. So let's talk about the 2 books that I finished. I ended up getting kind of sidetracked from other things I was reading and picking up Come Out by Natalie C. Parker, and I really like this. So this is YA horror that is also a queer coming of age story, and the horror is kind of centered on something that's like a stand-in for conversion therapy, and I quite liked it. It's definitely creepy. It gets a little on the nose towards the end of the book, but again, it's YA, so I feel like I'm not going to judge it as harshly because of the age demographic. And I like that it's a story of coming of age as a young queer person in a community and in a family that is not supportive. So we have a gay character and we have a non-binary character, and it's like a lot of things that are difficult to read at times if you are a queer person, I think, or probably especially for people who've struggled with some of these things, have parents that want you to fit certain ideas of gender and sexuality that they expect from you. So I think that's a lot of what this is doing. And then also tying religion into that. It was pretty good. Again, the ending, I feel like mixed feelings on the ending. I don't know that it fully landed the ending for me, but I think for a YA horror, it does work and it's creepy. Yeah, I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I would recommend it if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. And then I finished reading The Seemingly Impossible Love Life of Amanda Dean by Anne Rose. This is another queer book. This is an adult romance with a bisexual main character. It's kind of interesting the way that it's set up. I like the book and I like the story. I'm a little on the fence how I feel about the structure of the book because it could be a little confusing to follow at times. So basically we begin the morning of the intended wedding of the main character to somebody. And then the book sort of will flash back to several different periods of her life, different people, men and women she's been in relationships with, this close friendship that she's had since childhood, and then we'll intersperse it with slowly progressing through preparing for the wedding day. I think because there are so many different time periods and so much happening back and forth, it's a little difficult to follow at times, but I do really like the story. Editing Bethany again. I just wanted to drop in and say that this was before I wrote my review on Goodreads for this book, and I am definitely in the minority on this. Most people seem to really like the structure and find it fresh and fun, and something I said in my review there that I didn't say here and should have is I am typically a hard sell on like time skip stories anyway. It's not my personal preference, so please do take this part of my review with a grain of salt, because this was me sort of processing my feelings soon after I had finished the book. And in hindsight, I think the structure was not super to my taste. However, I think the story is really good. I think the character work is excellent. It's, you know, like it's really good writing. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. I think it's complex, it's nuanced. I enjoy the fact that it is beginning in childhood and really coming all the way up through adulthood and through these different transitional periods. This author, this is the first adult novel from this author, and she has written YA books previously, and I think you can really feel that in the writing. The way that she writes the characters as teenagers feels very much like what you would expect from a YA novel, but then we're also moving into adulthood, and I like that. I feel like we don't get a lot of romance novels that do that these days, that kind of give us this span of time. I think that's something that used to be done a lot more, and I did like it. So I would give this one 4 stars as well. Again, not sure I like the timeline jumping. I maybe would have preferred it to just be chronological, but I did like it. It actually kind of worked out today to finish this physically because I went to see a doctor and I've got tendonitis in one of my feet, so I'm supposed to be like resting and elevating it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna like lay in bed and read my books. So that's worked out. 2 4-star reads so far, 2 books knocked out. I am in the middle of 3 things at the moment. I'm now 42% of the way into Hot Earl Summer, which I'm enjoying. That's really fun. So that's my ebook, and I expect to get through that fairly quickly. I've also made quite a bit of progress on The Phoenix Keeper. I'm about here. I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm like more than halfway through that. Also really enjoying this. This I would call a cozy fantasy at a magical zoo with a romantic subplot and a painfully shy heroine who makes a lot of assumptions about other people. And she's also bisexual, so we have a lot of queer characters in the books that I'm reading right now. Enjoying that. And lastly, I have read part 1 of January's by Olivia Blake. This is a short story collection, and I'm really liking it so far. So this is where I'm at. It's divided up into seasons. So I read spring, and then we have summer, autumn, and winter. I really like her storytelling. I think it's just really good. She writes these interesting, dark, magical stories. Yeah, they're really good. I think there were 3 stories in the spring part of the book. One of them feels like almost like a fairy tale. They're so far really good. So those are the things I'm currently in the middle of, and I'm like halfway through 2 of those 3 books. So I feel like I'm actually doing pretty well. We've got 2 books down, 3 more books in progress. I feel like if I can at least get through 5 books by the end of the weekend will be doing great, but I would love to do even more than that. So we'll see how it goes. I will check back in once I have finished some more books. It is Friday afternoon and I finished reading The Phoenix Keeper, which I loved. This was so good and the ending is really good. It is cozy fantasy, but there's still kind of stakes. I feel like maybe you could say it's a little long. I didn't mind it though. I really liked it. I don't know if we're gonna get more books in this world. I kind of hope we do. But yeah, this was really good. Cozy fantasy, magical zoo, phoenixes, queer main character, a romantic subplot. She is painfully shy, but seeing her passion for her job and seeing her kind of come into her own is really satisfying. So yeah, really liked this, gave this one 5 stars. So it's like 1:30. I am 65% of the way through Hot Earl Summer, really enjoying that. So I think I could probably finish that one pretty quickly. And then I started a new audiobook that I'm getting through really quick too because I'm really enjoying it. It's called Tangleroot. I'll put a picture here. And it is a YA contemporary with a little, I guess like, it's a coming of age story with a little bit of a mystery element to it, but not really. It's mostly just like a YA contemporary about this Black girl who's just graduated from high school and she feels stuck because she has to go with her mom who's taken a job as the president of this small college in the South, and they're living in the main house of the plantation that her enslaved ancestors used to live on. And so there's part of it where there are secrets of family history and things that she doesn't know that she's trying to unravel, but also just her kind of growing up, coming of age, coming to terms with herself and living in this town. And yeah, it's really, really good so far. The writing is great. I have the audiobook for review. The audiobook is excellent. I'm kind of flying through that. So good progress so far. I will check back in once I've finished another book. It's late afternoon Saturday and I have finished 3 more books. I feel like I meant to do a clip earlier in the day and it was just kind of like a lazy Saturday at home. I was doing some reading and so I have not updated you. So I finished 2 things that I had been in the middle of. I finally finished reading Hot Earl Summer and it was really fun. I gave it like a 4.5 star. I feel like the thing to know about this series is it's very rompy. It's over the top and silly and fun, and I love it. I find it to be a rollicking good time, and I had been really looking forward to this installment in the Wild Winchester series. Elizabeth is such this great character. She's this outgoing, larger-than-life, swashbuckling swordswoman who's very bloodthirsty in an entertaining way, but then is also disabled and is dealing with chronic pain and joint issues that sometimes impact her, and she hates to be seen as weak. And she's in this, I'm not getting into all the details, but she gets into this very complicated situation in a castle with this kind of quirky, introverted tinker slash inventor that she has tons of chemistry with. They are searching for a missing will and also defending the castle against this guy who does these historical battle reenactments and thinks that it should belong to him. The reasons for it all are a little convoluted, but it's so much fun and I just love this series. There is one more Winchester sibling yet to find his match, and so I think in 2025 we're gonna get his story, which is exciting, but I really love this series. I think they're all really good. Actually, it's funny, the only one I haven't read yet is book 1, which I really should get to so that I can complete the series. But yeah, this was really fun. It came out in August. I would recommend the series if you're interested. It's fun historical romance that's very rompy and entertaining. And then the 2 other books that I finished are very different. The first one is Tangleroot by Kalila Williams. I initially requested this honestly because the cover was so pretty and I feel like it kind of called to me, and I was like, sometimes I see a cover and I'm like, I just have a feeling maybe this book will be for me. And this was one of those. It's not the kind of thing that I would necessarily always gravitate towards picking up, but it was so good. I think this is going to be a big hit, especially on like the indie bestseller lists. I expect this to be one people are really talking about. It's excellent. I'm also just so impressed that this is a debut novel. novel because it is really well done. It is a YA coming of age story that is largely getting into what it's like to do genealogical research as an African American and the messiness of what some of those family trees look like and the difficulty of finding things out because of family secrets over time and because of lack of documentation. And it's really good. It follows this young woman who's just graduated from high school and she's grown up in Boston. She has plans to go to college in Boston. She loves fashion and costuming and has this great internship lined up when all of a sudden her mom kind of pulls her out of that and makes her come down to the South, I think Virginia, with her. Her mom is this renowned professor of African American literature and history and wants her daughter to follow in her footsteps, even though she feels kind of suffocated by those expectations and like they're not really what she wants. But her mom takes this job as the president of a liberal arts college in her mom's hometown. The main character kind of hates it and she's got a lot of anger and resentment towards her mom, I think understandably so, because of the way that she tries to kind of control her, even though we do come to understand some of where that's coming from eventually. Kids in the background, it is Saturday. I think they're going outside soon. And she starts to get curious about her family history and also about the history of the family that lived there and starts doing some of her own research and along the way uncovers some painful and difficult secrets and lost history. And I just thought this book was so excellently written. The characters felt really real and flawed and lifelike. I viscerally felt the emotion of the main character and what it's like to be young and feel like you don't have a lot of control over what's happening in your own life and the anger and frustration that can come with that. She also has some lessons she needs to learn along the way. I just thought this was really, really good. I was impressed. I was completely entranced by it. I listened to the audiobook and I finished the whole thing yesterday. I just couldn't stop. This completely sucked me in and I am giving this one 6 stars, which in my personal rating scale is a favorite of the year. I feel like it really deserves it. I think it's among the best things that I've read this year. It's a really good YA novel that has a little bit of a mystery element to push forward the narrative that is really this coming of age story that is talking about difficult but important history of African Americans and enslavement in the United States. So I would definitely recommend this. I am so glad that I read it. We are getting a lot of bangers in this video, to be honest. I am so pleased with how this is going. My month has been great. I've been reading so many good things, y'all. The final thing that I read is a memoir that's coming out in October. This is It Gets Better Except When It Gets Worse, Another Unsolicited Truths I Wish Someone Had Told Me by Nicole Maines. So Nicole is a trans woman who is an actress and an activist, and this was really fascinating. Her early life was documented in a book written about her family because they were involved in a lawsuit that was really impactful about trans kids having access to restrooms, but she wanted to kind of tell things from her own perspective in her own way. I think this is really good. She's got a strong voice, she's pretty entertaining, and she's very insightful through a lot of it. I do think towards the end of the book, it gets a little bit more all over the place. I mean, throughout it, you get pieces where she's turning and talking about how these things in her life matter in the larger scheme of things, in things like legislation against trans youth that we're seeing today and the impact of that, which I think is great. I think it's good that she talks about some of that. It gets a little messier in the later portions of the book where it's things that have happened really recently to her. And I feel like that is often a thing that I see in memoirs, especially written by people who are still relatively young. So this is a 4-star read for me, but I still think it's well worth a read. I just appreciate her openness and vulnerability and willingness to talk about things that are really difficult. So yeah, really good. I liked it, 4 stars. Happy to have finished that. So those are the 3 books that I have finished. That puts me at a total of 6 books read so far in this challenge, which is great. I will say picking this up is a great example of how I mood read, because while this was a book I needed to read in the next couple of months, it wasn't a book I was planning to pick up super soon, but I felt like it, and so I went with it, and that worked out well for me. All right, but here are the books that I am currently in the middle of. I'm in the middle of a few different things. We are reading January's by Olivia Blake still. I've not made any more progress on this yet, but I'm gonna try to get through at least the next season today, and we'll see how that goes. I'm also reading The Lies We Conjure by Sarah Henning. I'm not super far into this. Yeah, I'm only like 15 pages in, so I don't expect to finish this by the end of the weekend. But so far it's pretty interesting. They're calling it Knives Out meets The Inheritance Games with magic, and it's got twin sisters pretending to be someone they're not, and this weird house, and I don't know. I am intrigued, but I'm not very far yet. I'm listening to Deja Brew by Celestine Martin, and so far this is really fun. I enjoy her books. This is like a cozy, witchy, small town romance with Black characters set in New Jersey, and I think it's gonna be good. So far, so good. Lastly, the ebook I'm reading, I'm about 10% of the way in. This is A Novel Christmas by Charity Shane. It's a contemporary romance about a romance writer who is told she has to write a holiday romance novel even though she doesn't really want to, and so she decides to spend the Christmas season in this very Christmassy small town, and I think the love interest is the guy who owns the Airbnb that she's gonna be staying at. So far also pretty good. Those are the 4 books I have in progress at the moment. I expect I might finish another 1 or 2 by the end of tomorrow, depending on how things go. I'm trying to take it pretty easy this weekend because next week is gonna be busier, and I am trying to rest my foot per doctor's orders as much as possible. It's not that bad, but I really do need to try to stay off it as much as I can to let it resolve itself. Which is very difficult living in New York and having children, but it is what it is. Thankfully, the books I'm reading have been great, so let's hope things continue in that vein. Again, I will check back in once I have more to report, but the reading is going well. Hey everybody, it is Sunday night and I have finished 2 more books, which brings us to a total of 8 books read for this challenge vlog in 5 days, which I feel pretty good about because they were all full-length novels, so it wasn't like I had some little novellas that I could just knock out quickly. I feel like I did a lot of reading. Honestly, last night I took a few hours off of reading and played some video games because I was like, I need a break. My brain needs a break, but I have finished 2 more books, so let's talk about them. First, I finished reading January's by Olivia Blake. This is such a good collection. It's one of those ones that's going to be hard to talk about because there are so many interesting stories in here. I see what she did when she divided it up into the seasons. It's kind of cool because a lot of the stories feel like they fit the theme. So for instance, in the fall section, you have a story about monster love and a story about witches. So I just think it's really well done. Her writing is so good, so interesting. She weaves in elements from mythology into some of these stories. There's the monster love thing is an interesting take on the emotional experience of becoming a mother for the first time and how overwhelming and difficult that can be when you want to be the perfect kind of goodness for your child. I love the way she talks about stuff. She's got stuff that's dealing with mental health, with being bipolar, but through like a fantasy lens, which is something she's talked about other places because she herself deals with that. And yeah, it's really good. It's a great whimsical collection of stories, and I really liked it a lot. I would give this 5 stars. I think this is a excellent collection of short stories, one that almost feels like it could be a novella maybe, but yeah, really enjoyed that, so would recommend if you like her writing. And then I also finished reading Deja Brew by Celestine Martin, which I really enjoyed. It's a nice cozy fall romance. It's got a little bit of a time thing where the main character has made a wish that she could go back and fix mistakes, and so she gets a month of time back and can kind of relive it in a different way and make different choices, and ends up falling in love with this guy who's a former reality TV magician who has left that life even though his family wants him back, and now does stuff for the local history society. Them falling for each other, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. They go to a fall festival. It's steamy at times. She's a really talented cook, so we've got food that she's making that sounds delicious. It was really good. I gave this one 4 stars. I would recommend if you're interested. I think it's a solid, cozy fall-time romance. It's got lots of those fall vibes. So overall, such a great collection of books I've read in the last 5 days. I read 8 books and was able to knock those off of my TBR of things that I need to read for review, and like mostly bangers, honestly, like really good. If you liked this, let me know your thoughts. Would you want to see me do this again? Because I still, even getting 8 books off that list, I still have, I think, like 17, 18 books that I need to review by the end of next month. So it's still quite a lot. So if you'd be interested in seeing me do something like this again, or creating some kind of a themed TBR to tackle, let me know in the comments down below. And if any of these piqued your interest, I would be curious to hear, is there something that you hadn't heard about or that had been on your radar and you weren't sure of, that seeing this, you're like, ooh, I think I want to pick that up? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.